Marcus Perry asks, you said the narrow bandwidth of TV has made us think we are stupider than we are. Will internet censorship lead to the same problem once TV is supplanted? Well, God, another incredibly complicated question. You know, whenever I think about censorship, I actually talked to Mark Zuckerberg a while back, and we had a good conversation, you know, and Zuckerberg, who I think is a very straightforward person as far as I could tell, is optimistic about Facebook and does see it as a platform whose primary goal is to connect people, and mostly at the personal level, although Facebook has made forays into news provision, and that's complicated their corporate vision. Now, I am not a pro-censorship character. I do not like hate speech legislation, and I am absolutely opposed to compelled speech legislation of the sort that's been introduced into Canada. I think it's a violation of the principle of free speech and free thought, and I think it's exceptionally dangerous. But having said that, you know, nothing is ever simple, and that's part of the reason that things are so annoying politically. So, you know, one of the things that Apple and Facebook and so forth, the large social media platforms, had to contend with, say, was the attempts by organizations like ISIS to use their platforms for recruitment. Now, let's say that I'm a free speech absolutist, which isn't exactly true, because I realize that there are the constraints that have evolved in some sense naturally in the English common law system on free speech, and that they're necessary. You can't libel someone. You can't outright lie about someone. You can't slander them. You can't counsel them to criminal conduct, etc. There are restrictions on free speech. Well, but I think those restrictions should be minimal. Well, let's say that one of the restrictions you assume should be placed on free speech is that those that you are at war with are not allowed to use your platform to recruit, which doesn't seem to be an unreasonable proposition, and is perhaps even the sort of thing that a conservative or a libertarian, much less a liberal or a left-winger, might get behind. Well, then that means that you've defined already a framework in which, is that censorship? Or maybe I'm not thinking this through clearly, but is that censorship? It's certainly self-protection. Well, then, having established the principle that a certain amount of monitoring of the use of your platform is necessary, where do you stop? And the answer is, it's complicated. I think that what Facebook, etc., did with Alex Jones was a big mistake. I think that was because, well, it wasn't just Alex Jones that was punished, let's say. It was all the people that were watching him. And not everybody that was watching him was an avid follower of him. Some people were just watching him to see what the hell he was doing and what he was up to, and that's necessary. But you don't just censor the one person. You censor everybody that's paying attention to him, and then you make him a martyr, and you persecute someone who's paranoid, which all that does is validate his conspiracy theories, his conspiratorial theories, and the conspiratorial theories of his followers. I guess one of the things I've really been wondering is if the wild and woolly reality of Facebook and YouTube and Twitter are actually sustainable in a corporate environment, or if the radical freedom that was associated with those technologies was only something that was possible when, in some sense, all of that material provision, all the provision of that material was outside the standard legal framework because it was too new to regulate. You know, I can't tell. I don't know if corporations can manage something like YouTube or Twitter or Facebook for that matter, because their internal conservatism and I mean that in the temperamental sense, their unwillingness to take risk is what I mean in that particular case, is liable to make it impossible for them to be neutral purveyors of information, some of which is going to be extremely radical. So I have no conclusions to offer there. And I guess I'm glad in some sense that these particular complicated problems aren't mine to solve. I certainly think that the production of automated censors is a very, very bad idea, but I'm also someone who's constitutionally opposed to such things as closed circuit TV monitoring of the general public as well, and cameras that watch people at stoplights, and any automated system that enforces the law or what's hypothetically the law, to me, is to be regarded with deep, deep suspicion. So